Hi and welcome back to my studio. It's Lois here from Lois and Morgana Davidson Art, and today I'm just going to share with you another experiment. It's going to be a quick time lapse for you of this Alpine scene with mountains, mist and a forest in the foreground. It's a further exploration of mountains, which is my current focus at the moment, trying to explore different ways of portraying them and painting them. Today's focus was trying to get a dramatic sky sort of coming up over the mountains and obscuring them in places as the mountain peaks disappear into the cloud. This is the photograph from Pixabay that I used as inspiration, and I'm not trying for a sort of an exact copy. I'm just trying to see if I can get the spirit of this painting, the kind of atmosphere that's created there. I'm going to start off by just sketching out the scene in its simplest form, so I've got a bit of a roadmap when I come to paint. I'll be painting the scene wet in wet, and I'm using Milford cold pressed watercolour paper. It's taped to my board, and my board's at an angle of about 20 to 30 degrees, so gravity will help with the painting. I'll be using the wet in wet method and speeding it up with a time lapse so you can watch how this kind of practice session evolves and how the experiment pans out. Using various brushes with a large size 20 wash brush to start with, and my colours today are ultramarine blue, raw umber, raw sienna, burnt sienna, Payne's grey and sap green. As this is an experiment, it's definitely a demo rather than a tutorial, because I can't really explain what I'm doing. I'm kind of making this up as I go along and painting using ideas to see what works, what doesn't work, and trying to discover the techniques that I can take forward to future paintings in this kind of style. So the sky has been finished. I've softened it in places to try to get those lovely soft transitions across the mountains, and I have painted the sky colours down over the mountains in places. Swapping now to a 1.5 inch flat brush and just using this and a mixture of greens to try and get in the foothills, the tree covered forest foothills below the mountains as a sort of a frame for the mountains that I'm about to paint next. I've mixed up a fairly dark grey, mid-value grey, using Payne's Grey, Burnt Sienna, Ultramarine and a little bit of Raw Sienna and Raw Umber. And I'm using my size 14 round brush. I'm going to try and see if I can paint in some of the parts of the mountain that are visible. The sky is dry now, so I'm painting these mountain peaks using the wet on dry method, so I'm getting sort of a hard edge finish to my brush strokes here. I can soften them back in places and so that they look like they're disappearing into the mist. So I'm hoping that a mixture of soft and hard edges and lost and found edges will give me the suggestion or the illusion of my mountains disappearing into the mist. I decided to darken up the foreground trees, and I'm not sure whether that was the right thing to do. I should probably have just left it as it was and then maybe gone in and balanced them out a bit at the end. But hindsight is the best sight, of course. When we're in the middle of painting, we can make these decisions, and sometimes they're the wrong ones. But it's really important that I let myself make these mistakes when I'm experimenting like this and don't get discouraged, because otherwise I'd never make any progress. It's only by making the mistakes that I learn what I should be doing and maybe what I should try and avoid when I next try to paint this sort of scene. And I'm hoping that these studio vlogs will encourage some of you that maybe get discouraged when things go wrong when you paint. Even the most experienced painter, if they're pushing the boundaries and trying new things, will make lots of mistakes and will be learning through trial and error. The great loose painter Edward Wesson, I think, once said that if he got one good painting out of 4 or 5, then he was pleased. And for me, if I get sort of 1 out of 10 works so that I'm really happy with it, then I'm really pleased. But that doesn't mean that I'm discouraged by the other 9. The other 9 have helped me to work towards that wonderful number 10 painting. And now that I've removed the tape, hopefully you can see that it's a lot nicer than it looked with all those scruffy brush marks running over the tape. I'm really pleased with my loose sky. I think it's got lots of energy, it's fresh, it's exciting. The mountain textures are okay. I quite like the way that I've got lots of lost and found edges, so it looks as if the mountain is sort of lost in the mist in places. And that was another of my focuses, so I am quite pleased with that. I think the foreground trees, the forest, is a little bit overworked, but I've never tried painting anything quite like that before in the foreground. But I'm pleased with how it works. I just need to refine my ideas a little bit more in the next painting. I think a final touch, just a little bit of texture over on this very plain spot on the right. just to break that grey area up a little bit. And then I'll be done. So that's the end of this particular studio vlog, and I hope you found it helpful to see how I experiment and how I let myself make mistakes and notice the mistakes rather than being discouraged by them. It's the noticing of these things that don't quite work out that means that we can refine our ideas and move forward and make progress. Thank you very much for watching, and please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, as it really helps our reach. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that people are interested in watching our demos. And thank you so much to everyone that supports us on Patreon. We really do appreciate you. I'll see you again soon. Take care and happy painting. Bye.